Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new edition of Video Rot, right? This is the first official
Yep.
episode where we're Video Rot from stem to stern from the very top of the show. And I'm going to have to now keep track of the episodes because this is Video Rot number 32, right? So,
Yeah.
anyway, if you guys were here last week, we decided on the name. Riverman came up with a batch of them. And you guys sort of all voted on Video Rot. Thinking about it a lot, I found myself laughing at one of the runner-ups, VHS Positive, a lot over the last few days. I kept
Yeah.
thinking about that, but Todd made a good point. We're not really just like exclusively talking about movies or VHSs or whatever, but that's a great name. Like, I feel like we should
Yeah.
use that for something. I want that to be a shirt. I think that has to be a shirt. So I'll
Yeah.
see if I'll run that by Zach and see if he can cook something up. But anyway, this week we thought it would be fun to tackle a topic that could be broad. So we'll see how much we can get into it, and it might beg for a part two. But I thought it'd be fun to talk about the tech of our generation and how much it's evolved. Because someone like Todd and myself, we're kind of in this weird spot, being in our late 30s, where I feel like we kind of have one toe dipped into Gen X, one toe dipped into millennials. We're technically millennials, but we're kind of cusp millennials. So, we kind of experienced a lot of different generations as far as tech goes within our generation. So, before we get into all that, was there anything new that you wanted to talk about this week, film wise? I know we've both been playing Resident Evil 4, the remake. I know maybe some of you guys out there have as well. Todd is kind of getting through it pretty slow. I'm on chapter 7, but I'm playing
Well,
pretty slow too.
yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk about that because that was pretty much. I don't have any pickups this week except for that.
Yeah,
So.
and I think our topic is so meaty that we need to spend as much time on that as possible, because literally it could go into a million directions, because we're going to talk about, from tech in the movie world, the game world, music. We're going to try and hit everything, but yeah, Mendoza loves VHS Positive, so we'll make shirts and we'll figure something else out to do with that, because it's brilliant. I don't remember who gave us that idea, but yeah, go ahead. So RE4, it's fantastic. I was having an issue with it at first because once I adjusted all the settings, I acclimated to it way better. And I'm like, okay, now it feels normal. But all these games now, man, especially with the PS5, but they were doing this with PS4 too. They're automatically turning on motion blur and all the fucking like bells and whistles that I don't know who likes all that stuff, but I'm in this minority of person where it all makes me want to vomit, dude. 30 minutes playing it, and I get the spins. I want to throw up, and I'm just ruined for the rest of the night. But after I turned off motion blur, I panned out the field of vision, right? Because they didn't have that all the way up, which I don't know why anybody would want that. I don't know why anybody would want that anything but the max, like zoomed out. Like, that's just
Yeah.
ridiculous to me. And and you can adjust the camera and all that stuff. In fact, it makes me want to go back and maybe try and give our RE8 again a try, because RE8 was doing that same shit, and I didn't even think about adjusting the motion blur. But
Yeah, I have no desire to go back to RE8. This one is flawless. The controls are flawless in my opinion.
yeah,
It's so much fun. I haven't been able to play a whole lot. I get like maybe an hour a night to play.
well,
Because I got other duties, but it's a lot of fun, man.
I got other duties too. But the thing is there's I'm on chapter 7, but you're only on chapter 2, right? Some of the chapters are real short.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
say half of them are over almost as quick as you start them. So I don't think, I don't know how many hours I put into it, but chapter 7 isn't that impressive. All I have to say is Ashley is just as annoying in this game. God, she is helpless, dude.
Oh,
Fucking
yeah.
hate. Like, it's just they changed it. Like in the old game, I'm pretty sure you could tell her to stay, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you could go clear something. Now, when he told her to stay, obviously you'll hear her scream, Leon, because people are taking her away, because you leave her kind of to fend for herself, which she
Yeah.
can't fend for herself, which makes her annoying. And then, but in this one, she has to follow you. You have two options: spread out or stay right behind you, and which is fine. They did that. They did that because they said it's game breaking when you can just leave her wherever you want, and you can even tell her, like, I think you could tell her to hide, like in places. And they said it's more of a challenge this way. But yeah, so Maxon, he's in the chat. He just got to the castle. I'm in the castle. I would have thought you're farther than me. How are you not farther than me? You stream it all the damn time. But I just got done doing all the catapult stuff, and I beat all that. That's so annoying because you got catapults flying everywhere, and then people are trying to attack Ashley and take her, and every time she so much as stubs her toe and she kind of falls to her knees a little bit, you have to go help her up because she's so helpless.
She doesn't take damage in this one, though, does she?
She could die. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, she does take damage.
Yeah. And they'll take her away and she can die. And the cannonballs are annoying because a cannonball blow up and you have to help her. You have to help her up for some damn reason because she can't take care of herself. And then by the time you let the the audio and stuff play, you get hit with another you get hit with another one. Like he'll bend down. Are you okay? And you've already gotten hit by another one. It's fucking stupid. But I died a few times on that part, but I got through it. Let's see. Yeah, Mac, you can make her stay in hiding spots. The only place I've seen so far where I've been able to make her hide is in those lockers, right? Where I'm stuck in that house, Mac. I think it's on the previous chapter 6. But anyway, I do appreciate how the game's got some challenge to it, and I think it's balanced just right. I mean, like, it's not like future installments because the ammo, yeah, you kill guys in this game and then they drop ammo and stuff like that for you to collect. I find myself with like just enough ammo still. It's not overkill. Like I don't have too much ammo where I'm running people down. The last couple of boss battles I've done, I felt like I was down to the wire on having ammo. But magically, like when I'm at that wire for like, oh god, now I'm down to handgun, now 9mm bullets, and I've got like 5. I somehow kill them just in time. So I guess that's probably just, the actual devs, it's just so balanced. I don't know what it is. Like literally I have just enough to clear it. I don't know, but
what other weapons do they have? Because I think I have the shotgun, I have the pistol, I have the sprayer, and then I have the sniper rifle.
You're gonna get different iterations and upgrades of rifles and shotguns, and you'll want to sell your old ones and all that stuff. There's gonna be a Magnum, and there's gonna be a rocket. Okay. There's gonna be a rocket launcher, of course. Which what I always did in the old game was don't even worry about paying the 80,000 for the rocket launcher now. That's stupid. Just because you don't really need it, and it probably wouldn't make the game very fun now. But at the end of the game, just sell everything, sell all your upgraded weapons and shit, and you'll get shit tons of money. And then just buy the rocket launcher for the final boss and all that stuff, and just clean his clock. So what's up, Silhouette? No, we just started, man. You're not late as heck, man. We actually started. We kind of gave some time for people to jump in, so we're just kind of talking about Resident Evil 4 right now, and then we're going to get into the tech stuff here in just a minute. But yeah, and as you know, I forgot to mention. Well, once again, this is the first official episode of Video Rot, even though technically it's episode number 31. Remember, as it's scrolling on the screen right there, you're reminded that we are streaming every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Time, so you guys can join us like we have people in the chat right now live. And then if you can't, no big deal. The next week, an abridged of the show will be posted up as a YouTube video for everybody. But anyway, so yeah, RE4 is awesome, man. I'm super stoked. I think it's it's everything I wanted it to be, because I loved the RE2 remake, and which we'll see which one's my favorite at the end of the day. But this one is just like RE4, just remade on crack in that same quality that the 2 and 3 remake were, but with updated quality of life controls, because I couldn't play the original RE4 anymore.
Yeah.
It's dated. It's like you can't run and shoot. You have to stop and aim. It's just not as fun. But they fixed all that. So, and they added some new stuff that's not in the original game too, so that's really cool. They're gonna add a mercenaries mode as DLC here soon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but
I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. What are your overall thoughts besides having fun with it? Is there anything? I think a good remake is going to scratch the nostalgia itch and almost make it seem like, it's got to be fresh and updated, but you have to feel like you're at home, like this game at the same time.
Well, chapter 1 looked brilliant. I mean, it looked fantastic. So, and that's what I can judge it off of. Especially,
I think I died at least at one time in the village at the first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where the guy with the chainsaw comes out, and I don't think my adrenaline was racing like it did in the original game, just because I know what you have to do this time. I know you just have to kill the clock. But I will say I felt like the clock was taking a long time. Like I kept running from all these freaking rednecks, man, and you're just like, okay, I've gotten hit a few times. Like, ring the bell already. Let's go to bingo already, or
Well,
whatever they say.
you know what you're getting, but the first time you played that, you're just like, holy shit, what the hell do we do? They just keep
Yeah,
coming and coming.
yeah, I know all about that. Keeping coming and coming. Hey, Silhouette, you feel bad for Max streams because he streams so late? Um, he does, but he enjoys it. I think he's up late, and I think those are his hours. I think he's a bit of a night owl, but yeah, he might get more action if he did it earlier in the day. But we do what we got to do, right? So, Silhouette, you got to sneak on the villagers at the start, otherwise they gangbang Leon. Well, and that's something I don't remember in the original, right? You could not sneak attack kill.
Yeah, I don't think you could.
Like Metal Gear Solid style. So I definitely take advantage of that anytime I can and save ammo and stuff. Not to mention it's just satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and upgrading your weapons and collecting loot and talking to the merchants and all that stuff is super addictive. It's very satisfying to max out your stats on your favorite gun, and then and I love it. It's like you max out your stats on like a shotgun, your first shotgun. By the time you come across the riot gun, which is the second iteration of a shotgun, you just sell the one you've upgraded, and you get almost all your money back for it. So don't worry about like dumping money into your existing weapons. By the time you get to the next level, you're gonna sell whatever you've been rocking for like 60 grand.
So I forgot, is there hidden items in any of those boxes that aren't like marked? You know how they have like the barrels and the boxes that are yellow and they want you to kick it and break it open?
That's the only ones you can break.
You can break the other ones with like a knife, but I didn't know if there was like anything.
Oh, see, I didn't even know you could break them with a knife. No, I would imagine it's just the ones that have the action button and stuff like that. And then when you get to the castle, there's going to be like pots that will always show the action button that you can bust. So,
yeah, I didn't know if there's anything hidden or hidden items or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is kind of cool to kind of talk about this because it's a nice segue into tech. We're talking about a remake, a revamp of something that's old, right? I don't necessarily want to start with video games though. So maybe it's not a very good segue, but basically, gosh, I'm kind of scared of this going so long where we need 2 episodes. So I don't really know where to start. I think to be most relevant to us, I think we should talk about films because we come from the VHS days. We're not old enough to where we come from Betamax or anything like that, but I don't even think we were alive during Laserdisc, right? The short technically,
yeah.
But that wasn't our thing. Like, when did Laserdisc exist, Todd?
God, I want to say isn't the early 90s? Late 80s, early 90s?
Late 80s, early 90s. I mean, so yeah, I was a kid, but I don't remember anybody that had Laserdisc.
No.
But so
they did at school. They did at school, I remember.
Oh, you remember that?
Yeah, back in maybe it was middle school or late elementary. Yeah, they did have Laserdisc, and I do believe we watched some stuff on those.
Well, being a kid born in the mid 80s and being a child of the 90s, we grew up with VHS. And the earliest VHS tapes I remember having were, well, we had a slew at my grandma's house that were those just Mixel or whatever they were, like recorded. I've told this story before. We would go see movies like Home Alone and stuff, and she would bring this fucking shoulder cannon of a bootlegging camcorder, and she would load it with one of those VHS tapes, and she would record the movie for us. She wasn't pulling a Cosmo Kramer to sell it.
Your grandma did this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you told me this.
Yeah, anyway, so we had VHS recordings of like tapes from the movie, and as a kid, I didn't really know a difference, man. I was watching Home Alone 2 when it was still in theaters at home, wore it out. But like, there's no way well, I guess if it was a shoulder cannon, it was probably pretty steady.
How comfortable could that be, though? I mean, she got to be so uncomfortable for 2 hours holding that stupid thing up.
I mean, it was my dad's mom, who was kind of a piece of shit, so maybe she did sell a few copies for all I know. I don't freaking know.
Oh, okay.
She probably didn't know. But
oh, man, we're missing the death blow.
We're missing the death blow. Yeah. So anyway, but as far as like the commercial VHSs we bought, they used to be a lot of money, man. I remember we had the original Batman. My grandma bought all these. She had Batman and Hook. Those are the two, and Roger Rabbit. And I think we had those commercially, like the actual, and the price tags. I remember looking at the stickers in these things. I think they were $50.
Yeah, they're like $40, $50.
They were expensive, man. And but it was still cool. I don't really remember a time. I think if we were just a little bit older, we'd remember a time before VHS was a thing, because that must have been a huge deal when VHS came out. Because other than that, you had to go see a film in its theatrical run, and if you couldn't catch it, I mean, maybe it would show up on TV or something like years later, like a movie of the week on one of the network channels. I don't know, but
it's
yeah.
kind of funny because they had these the media had these battles. So it kind of started off with the VHS and Betamax wars, and basically it was kind of like you know, it's kind of like the DVD Blu-ray or HD DVD Blu-ray, where they have to see what format actually wins out, and VHS won out over Betamax.
Yeah. And God, when I think about it now, just how much, the money I wasted on VHS tapes. Because we were buying VHS all the way up until freshman year. I mean, we fully converted to DVD when I was in high school. I don't remember if it was freshman or sophomore. I know Todd was really early to the game, but I remember walking up to like CD Warehouse and buying Super Joint Ritual, like their live in Dallas stuff, and
on VHS.
No, you know what? I think I got that one on DVD. No, I had that on VHS. I got that on VHS, and I remember specifically because I had to call up there, and all they had was the DVD. But they had the VHS and the DVD. I was having a hard time finding both, and and I think I've told Todd that story before. They told me a price over the phone, and I had to walk everywhere. I was a kid, and I remember I called up. Yeah, we have it. It's such and such dollars. And oh no, it was the DVD. You know why? Because DVDs were brand new and those are going for a premium. And I remember I called up and I said, "Hey, do you guys have the DVD or whatever?" Yeah, so I made the trek and I walked up there and I came with my money. I had like exact tender. I'm a kid.
Yeah.
And I came there. All right, here you go. Whatever it was. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we talked to you on the phone. Look, man, I told you wrong. I gave you the price of the VHS." And I was like, yeah, but I just walked all the way up here and you told me this, and what the? It's not like I have a credit card or whatever. Just like,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
Like, and I was like, and he's like, yeah, sorry. And being a kid, I was a pushover or whatever, and I walked home, walk of shame with nothing. And then I remember I told my mom. And she kind of went all full Denise on them. She called them up. Oh no, let me call. She called them up and she cussed this guy's manager out. Like hardcore. Like she's pre-Karen, proto Karen. And then after she got off the phone, they said you can go. You're gonna go back up there and they're gonna give it to you for that price. And I was like, okay. And it's funny. I don't know why I wasn't really humiliated to go up there. Like, oh my God, it's so embarrassing. I wasn't. I went up there with my money and I gave it to them and they had it ready. And I gave them the money that they told me. And then they cashed me out. And the same guy, I don't know if he got reprimanded by his boss. I don't know. But the same guy looks at me and goes, as he handed me the bag, "Oh yeah, and for the record, people make fucking mistakes." Like, oh. And I'm like, I never did anything. Like it. Yeah, I just went in there. He told me one thing. I was disappointed. I left, and I came back and I gave him the money again. Like all he did, he's just. I mean, in hindsight, yeah, the guy got ripped.
He got reamed.
By a kid's mom, and then for all that, she talked to his boss. So it's a total asshole. Anyway, so I ended up getting a DVD copy when DVDs are brand new of that Super Joint live DVD, and I cherish it. And I love that DVD because that's where I learned about Amityville 2: The Possession and the special features.
Nice.
But yeah. Anyway, do you have any memories of VHS though? Like any VHSs you saved up your money for, or you remember particularly buying yourself? Maybe you had a couple that and you can tell me about some stuff that you had gifted to you that were special, and then things that you actually bought with your own money, and when you stopped. Like when you made the transition, or maybe there's some overlap between VHS and DVD for a little bit, but just tell me when you stopped too.
I started in probably, God, it had to be early 90s. I think our first VHS we got was Home Alone, and it was like $40, and we wore the thing out. That one, and then Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Those two were
with the Bryan Adams music video.
Yeah, with the Bryan Adams music video, absolutely.
On the credits.
Yeah, and those were, I mean, we watched those over and over again. And then I also made a lot of mixtapes from like the Sci-Fi Channel. I'd record um, different TV shows and then rewatch
Oh
or
yeah,
movies and rewatch them later, which I love those.
I
That's how I
I remember.
discovered so many movies because like I'd hit the record button and the show wasn't on for like 2 hours. So I watched the first movie and then I was like, oh, I actually like this movie. And then I finally watched the movie I wanted to record. So
Fun piggyback off that. When I was a freshman, we were freshmen in high school. Riverman lent me, I believe it had to have been one of those copied VHSs you're talking about. You lent me a copied VHS, and I'm sure it was taped off of Monster Vision. I'm pretty
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And it was Return of Living Dead 2, and I think Motel Hell. I think that was the two.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever gave it back, and I think my dad ended up like recording porn over it. But I watched that for the time that I had it. I actually never watched Motel Hell until later. I didn't watch it on that tape. I watched, but I watched Return of the Living Dead 2 quite a lot.
I missed that tape. I wish I still had that.
I still have. We'll get into it later with music, but I still have some of your like mixed CDs from high school.
Oh,
I still have them. Anyway, continue. So yeah. What was the last? When did you jump off the train, or if there was any other titles? Because I know you have a lot of stuff in your collect. You have like a lot of Dawn of the Dead stuff, and you know.
Yeah, Dawn of the Dead was probably my first big purchased VHS. That I think I purchased that from Best Buy. There was Nightmare on Elm Street, which I got from one of the CD like mall stores, like Sam Goody. Down in St. Louis. I remember that. I remember I bought, God, what is the third one that I totally forgot the third one that I bought. Oh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. I got that from Suncoast because I was looking for that. Like I was hearing about it and then I saw the cover art and I was like, holy shit, this looks awesome. So I ended up buying that for, $30. It was expensive, but I didn't care. And I wore that thing out. And then I just kept going on and hitting up the Blockbusters after school. They usually sold a lot of their used VHS. So I bought a bunch of the horror flicks. And then they also had a new section as well. So like pick up like Night of the Living Dead, all that stuff like that. So,
what are your thoughts on the previewed VHSs that have the best Blockbuster stickers on them? Are those nostalgic to you, or you're like, gosh, I wish I could get these off?
No, I actually like it. I think it's cool. Because
back in the day, I did not, but today they would be very cool. Because I did that with games too. Like I bought a couple of rented games that they were selling. I remember, and I used to get so annoyed because, especially like in the PS1 era, they would put these stickers, these like clear stickers that were the exact same shape as the actual disc, so they were clear, but then somewhere on that clear sticker it would have like the Family Video or Hollywood Video or Blockbuster imprint on it, and you could never get them off. Those I hated for the games. Terrible. But yeah, you're speaking of you're talking about rental stores though. I know rental stores, Blockbuster and stuff existed in DVD time, but it was, to me, and it was never the same. I wasn't as nostalgic with it in the DVD era. When the DVD era came along, I just bought DVDs, but maybe it's because I was a kid and I couldn't afford VHS most of that time. That was my Blockbuster when you really relied on renting stuff.
Yeah.
So back in the days where you got penalized and fined $0.25 or 50 cents for not rewinding your tapes, right? Were there any movies, if you weren't done, I'm sorry, but was there any movies that, as far as renting, what are the movies you rented the most that you didn't own, but you just rented over and over and over and over again? Or or just like jewels you found and you rented and they changed your life? Because at places like Blockbuster or like your little mom and pop rental shops, I would look at the laminates or the empty cardboard display boxes, or even like the cardboard cutouts, like for commercial display. I would look at some of that stuff way before and sort of just fantasize about what the movie was before I actually would get to rent it. So was there any flicks that you rented?
Two.
Like, oh, okay, that they changed your life? What were they?
There's two movies that I didn't know anything about, but I purchased them off the cover art, and that was, let's see, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which was one, and then Maniac. Those were the two that I didn't know anything about going into them, and I was just like, I love the cover art. So it's like I'll check these out, and I was blown away. I mean, there's probably two of my favorite horror films in general. So
Well, you got lucky because sometimes you're disappointed, man. Monkey
oh,
Shines.
I was disappointed a lot. I mean, I rented everything, but there was a few titles going into it I knew nothing about.
A couple of bait and switch VHS titles. I'm going to tell everybody right now. What was it called? Ghoulies in the toilet. And Ghoulies, it's a bait and switch because Ghoulies is not good. And then what did I just say? I just said it. Monkey Shines.
Monkey Shines.
I see the Monkey Shines cover all the time. The movie's not good. So there's a lot of stuff like that, but yeah, so that's over. I never went down. They're talking about porn and stuff and like the beaded curtain era. There's a XXX store between here and Weatherford that has VHS tapes still and old loot arcade games. Dude, I can't imagine the people that actually rented XXX tapes, dude. How much germs are on those things? Because how many guys are nutting all over their stomach or whatever after watching a tape they just rented and getting up and like sanitizing their hands before they take the tape out? I mean, you could kind of go off the honor system, but I'm not going to trust it.
Yeah, and what if you see a guy walk up with the tape? I mean, that's always a funny thing, right? Like you're buying condoms or something, but you're buying like a porno tape.
Can you imagine being in line at those places and a guy's returning a tape right next to you? Like, oh, is that a good one? Oh yeah, it's good, bro. You got to take it. Oh yeah, here, you rent it next. Like, yeah, it's just so weird.
It was funny. I mean, I snuck back there a few times, but I didn't really. I was more into horror movies, so not horrors at the time.
So we rented. I'm trying to think of the movies that we rented. I've mentioned this before, but I think the movie that we rented the most was the 95 Mortal Kombat movie. Rented that over and over and over and over and over again to the point where it didn't make sense that we didn't own it. And then my mom eventually, she bought one of those like previewed copies or whatever. But we rented it so many dang times. But as far as like the movies that we rented, I'd say a big one. We rented all the Halloween movies, man. I think Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Halloween 2, Hellraiser was a really big one for me. I think that was a big one because that's one of my favorites to this day. We rented, of course, we went, dude. I remember we used to go to the public library, and I think I rented all the Freddy sequels and stuff like in rotation. But then, dude, the public library, that's where I rented. We used to my dad would be attracted to all kinds of movies, but he would get like the really weird genre stuff just because it looked cool. And my dad rented Extro and what is it? The Watchers. Is it the Corey Haim movie?
No, that's Blown Away.
No, am I getting it right, guys? What's the movie with the UFO and the alien? And I think it's got like, I don't fucking know. But one of the movies we got was Extro, and that to this day I love Extro, man. I have to keep telling Todd he's got to watch Extro and try and find it.
It's not out.
It was out on Blu-ray. It went out pretty fast.
Find it. Yeah.
No, Silhouette. It's not Fire in the Sky, but Fire in the Sky. Thank goodness I didn't see that when I was a kid because that would have scared the living shit out of me as a kid.
Yeah,
but I saw that
movie.
I saw that late. It's an okay movie. Come on.
I enjoyed it. I think I gave it a 7.
Yeah, it's solid, but the only reason I think I give it a 6. But the only reason it gets the score it does is because the actual abduction scene where he's on the ship and all the probing, it makes the movie. The rest of it's kind of a drama. The whole town thinks it's conspiracy. It's whatever. Silhouette Extra is on Blu-ray. I can't remember who put it out, but it's been gone a while, and I kind of regret not being able to get it. What's up, Gertshot, man? How you doing, brother? But and then of course I've told this story a lot, but I was so disappointed that I finally got to rent Hellbound at our local mom and pop shop. I felt like Hellraiser 2 was never available. Like it's one of those movies like they don't have like one copy, and it was always out. And so I could just never time it to where I rent Hellraiser 2 Hellbound. And one time it was available and we rented it. And then we got home to watch it, opened up the case and put it in Hellbound. And it was Hellbound starring Chuck Norris.
Oh, Jesus.
It was so they fucked up.
Oh.
And it was funny. I just went to bed and my dad watched it. He says like, "Oh, this is the movie. You know, you're kind of stuck, right? This is your movie night."
Yeah.
And he watched it. I remember the next day he's like, "It was pretty good." Like, oh, well, come on, we could have watched Hellraiser 2, and I'd never seen it at the time. But anyway, yeah. So it was a second run release. Yeah, okay, so that's right. It sounds right.
I remember always calling up to like those video rental stores and asking if they had something before I went up there.
Oh yeah, all the time.
And then we used to dig through the return box, to look and see if there was anything we got returned that we wanted.
Yeah, no, we used to do that stuff too. I got a lot of memories of my grandma or my mom sending me up to the rental store to return stuff because we lived in a small town at this time. It wasn't that far away or anything like that, and it'd be like, "Here, go walk." And we'd go up there and return them or drop them off in the slot or whatever. It was an easy chore for a kid. But and now as far as movies that I bought, I could tell you the one that I spent the most money on. I actually bought Batman Forever when it was brand new. Because I didn't get to see it in theater. I didn't get to see it in theater, but I wanted to see it. Of course, I love Batman Returns and Batman, so I didn't get to see it in theater. But I saved up my pennies and did all kinds of chores and whatever, so I could pay the $30 or whatever it cost to buy it when it was brand new. And I remember going to the mall. In it wasn't in Kentucky. We lived in Kentucky, but kind of like an hour from the border of Indiana. We went to this mall in Indiana. That's where we'd always go. That was like the closest shopping mall, and this mall, by the way, had just the most bitchin' arcade, in the basement. It was so cool at the time. And they had like a roller coaster. It's awesome. But I went there and I'll never forget the display going. I don't remember if it was like a Sam Goody or what it was. It probably was. And just the big display on the outside, like the big Riddler and everybody. And it's full of VHSs. Like, I miss those kind of displays. And I remember buying it. And I was so excited. And, I liked it. I think I gaslit myself into liking it because I paid all that money for it. But as an adult, like I really don't like the movie that much.
They kind of like Men in Black with me back in the day.
Yeah, it's like you spend all that money, you kind of have to just convince yourself, yeah, I didn't waste my money. I love this. I'm having a great time.
But you end up rewatching it over and over, even though it's so shitty.
When you're a kid, you consume. Same thing with games, man. You just I would play shitty games just as much as the great AAA. I didn't really notice the difference between like a AAA title and a licensed like LJN title. But yeah, and then at a point, I think it was freshman year that DVD. I don't know when DVD players actually officially came out, but people started getting them in like freshman year, like 2000, right? 2000, 2001, and they still weren't like the standard quite yet. I don't know if that took another year or whatever, but we got one, I think, Riverman had one first because he had a job. Why don't you talk about that? How much it cost you? I think it cost you a testicle.
For my DVD player?
Yeah, your first one?
That was, I saved up my paper route money. I don't know the year. Was it like 97 or 98?
No, that early? DVD player?
Isn't it?
No, 2001 is when you had that DVD player and you let me borrow Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, I had that for years prior than that, though.
The DVD player was out in the late 90s and it was common?
Yeah. Because I think I got one of the first ones I got it from Nebraska Furniture Mart.
How many titles could have been available in like 1998?
Handful. Not many. I mean,
how old,
infancy.
Do you remember how old you were? That'll kind of give you a good idea of maybe the year pinpointing it.
Let's see. 10, probably 12.
Really?
Yeah.
So you probably did. Wow. So you were like really an early adopter.
Yeah. No, I bought it I spent like $350 on it because I saved up my paper route money for like a year.
You were just sitting on your hands for a few years so titles could come out. I mean, like
it
was probably just bone dry. So there must have been some early titles that were out that led you to buy it. Like, so what did you buy with your first DVD player?
Oh God.
What titles were available?
American Pie. I got that. What other big movies?
Well, American Pie was not 98. I feel like that was maybe 99, right?
99. Yeah. Okay.
So give or take, it's the late 90s. Okay.
Yeah.
So you bought American Pie. What else did you buy?
Dawn of the Dead. That was the first one I bought.
And that's the one that you lent me that had the really colorful like menu.
No, this one was the first Anchor Bay one, with just the regular cover. That one I think I let you borrow was like a anniversary edition I got. So I was double dipping back then when it came to Dawn of the Dead.
Even in just like a couple years' time, they're re-releasing that fucking movie.
Yeah. So, that one, Dawn of the Dead. God, I'm gonna have to look up the early titles.
Yeah. So while you're doing that, so when DVD came out, to me, I don't think we're ever going to see a jump like VHS to DVD ever again, right? Because
yeah,
and the jump from DVD to Blu-ray was big too, but obviously it gets lessened and lesser. But VHS to DVD, that was a game changer, man. I had spent because VHS was around for so long, and it was the prominent medium for so long, and then that's all I knew. And then when we got one, my dad brought home a DVD player, and I think they brought home the Godfather trilogy on DVD, and they brought home Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles for some damn reason, and I think Altered States, right?
Yeah,
with what John Hurt, and I think that was the three. I might be missing one, but that blew my mind to actually put in a disc, and there was no more rewinding. There was no tracking, adjusting the tracking on your monitor to get those like lines straight, and you could just pop something in and play. And when the first set of DVDs came out, all the special features you got, we had the snapbacks, the snap cases, and then the features were selecting a scene, right, which would obviously just become a standard of the format, but they would tout that as being a special feature because it was just a new medium. Like, hey, you don't have to rewind these. You could just jump to track by track by track like a CD. And you had the menus. It just blew me away. I remember I was so enamored with it. I must have watched Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles for some reason 20 times just because I was blown away. I'm like, well, I can't afford not to. I'm saving so much time by just jumping right to the scene. I don't have to rewind it.
So I have a list. I had a few of these titles. These are the first DVDs to ever be released. First one was A Time to Kill.
What year is this again? Now that you have
97.
Wow.
But I don't know if I had it in 97. I'm going to say it's like 98 or 99.
Okay, that's crazy. Okay, so Time to Kill.
So these were released back in 97. Blade Runner, Eraser, which I had Eraser at one time. Goodfellas, which I had Goodfellas at one time. Interview with the Vampire, The Road Warrior 7, The Birdcage, The Bridges of Madison County, The Fugitive, The Mask, which of course I owned, The Wizard of Oz, Twister, Unforgiven, and Woodstock.
I love Unforgiven. Wow.
So those are the first 15 DVDs.
I mean, DVD wasn't even on my radar until like 99, maybe 99. Maybe I'm forgetting, but 2000. But we didn't get one until 2000. I mean, so it took a few years. That's crazy. And Mendoza. Go ahead.
Okay, I remember. It was when the first Dawn of the Dead DVD came out. I'm gonna look that up. I'll let you know what year.
Yeah, and Mendoza, he says jumping from VHS porn to DVD porn was a revelation. I mean, I can imagine you don't have to fast forward through all the story. You could, all the story bit just to get to whatever it is you're trying to watch. I imagine you could jump from scene to scene to scene. And I mean, like I said, now Mendoza, you can just sit on your phone and watch video clips. Right? You don't even have to deal with the fucking whole movie or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I imagine the DVD was just a game changer on your filthy way of living, Mendoza. So what year was it?
God, I'm trying to find it. Oh, here it is. Does it tell you the year? Give me the back. I want to say it's 99.
Okay. Wait, so
So 1999 is when I got my DVD
okay,
player.
that sounds a little bit more reasonable, but yeah, so it was 2 years for me from there. And as far as the first DVDs I bought, so we had the DVD player, and we just had those few titles I told you my parents brought home. But then I got my first job when I was freshly 16, so a couple years later, year later, and I bought my first DVDs. And I remember with my first paycheck, I was working at a Toys R Us, and I hopped in next door. Remember Oakview Plaza, right? It's not the docks, but and I'd walk next door into Best Buy. I'd go to Hy-Vee, that was all in that plaza, and I bought me a my own 2 liter of like Pepsi, and then a family size bag of Doritos, because I never bought anything. I was mooching off Todd, for crying out loud, and I never had any money, right? And so
yeah, I paid for everything.
But it wasn't my fault. But anyway, so I bought and it felt good. It's like, I paid for these, and nobody can have them. Nobody can. No, my dad. No more. My dad drawing Sharpie lines on like the soda bottle, just to prove, so you wouldn't. So you live in fear of not drinking his soda, the 2 liter of soda. And then I after going there, I hopped next door to Best Buy, and I bought Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on DVD. And dude, and you know what? I think I always forget this, but I also took the trek to Gamers. I think this was on my first paycheck too. I walked to Gamers, that was in that same plaza, Todd. It was a little further down, and I bought Tekken 4 on the PS2. So I went home and I ate. I gorged myself on Doritos and a whole 2 liter bottle in my room, and I just watched Bill and Ted, and it was just the greatest night of my life. It really was. I'm like, oh, this is what it's like to earn money.
Yeah, next time I come into town, you're gonna have to take me out to dinner.
Have I not taken you out to dinner?
I'm gonna hold you to it.
I'll have to think about that. Anyway, so yeah, DVD was a huge one, and obviously when I moved out and I was an adult and I got my first apartment, I went DVD crazy. Now they'd been out long enough. That's fine. Now they've been out for so long to where you could hit up those used joints and just buy them for $5 or whatever. And at a point, I had got 500 DVDs, man. And then before I moved out to Arizona, I had already been well into Blu-ray collecting, but I swear I had like 500 DVDs just thrown in a closet because I just got to collecting it, going to used places and stuff. And I sold all those, almost all of them, before I moved out to Arizona, because it's just old tech. It's just dead. So what about Blu-rays though? When did you hop on Blu-ray? Were you early to that, or were you like most people and you got I'm trying to think. Surprisingly enough, most people, when they got a DVD player, I think what really made DVD become so huge is PS2. That's what it was. That's what became dominant, because Sony marketed their DVD player, which for all we know might have been dying. It might not have been, because it had been came out a few years prior. It might have just been on life support for all we know. But they packaged it in with the PS2, and they got everybody, because literally it's like, well, I could pay the same price as a PS2 for a DVD player, or I could just buy a PS2 that does everything and a DVD. And that's why the PS2 is the number one selling console of all time. It's because it was a DVD player. That's facts.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason why I did get one. Also, the PS3 with the Blu-ray player. And I think that was my first Blu-ray player, was PS3.
And yeah, me too. Oh, yeah, me too. That was my first Blu-ray player. And I remember I had just gotten my Blu-ray player, I want to say winter of 2011. So maybe I was a little late to that. I don't remember what year Todd got his or whatever. But I never really would get the PlayStation consoles when they first came out or anything like that. So I bought a PlayStation winter of 2010. I bought my first 1080p flat screen, and I was ready to rock and roll. And I went and bought a whole bunch of Blu-rays. And I don't remember what my first Blu-rays were. I remember I was buying a lot though. I was like, oh, this is so great, because it was, to me, that was also a pretty big jump going from DVD to Blu-ray. And it's one of those things where you don't think about it until you go back and try and watch a DVD. It's just your eyes. Like, are we doing ourselves a disservice because you don't really know any better? if you're happy with DVD, just be happy with DVD and get those discounts. But once you go to Blu-ray, your eyes sort of adjust and they kind of look, that becomes the new par, and your eyes kind of know that as a standard. Like, is it really blowing you away that much? Because now when you go back to DVD, it looks like shit. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't really know, because it's like you're paying all this money to upgrade formats to be blown away for like a week until your eyes just kind of adjust or whatever. But
And I was pretty late to the game on Blu-ray. I remember, because I still bought DVDs up until, God, late. It was probably what Blu-ray came out in 2000 and what, 7?
oh, I don't know. Probably it sounds right.
Or when did the PS3 come out?
Well, I was late to PS3, so
So was I.
Well, PS3 was around for a long ass time. It was around for about 10 years.
Okay.
It was like the longest generation ever. So yeah, I mean, I got it in 2011. So yeah, I mean, I got it a few years into it. So yeah, you're probably right, somewhere like that. Mendoza, he says, my brother found out I was gay from watching a VHS porn he found in my room. His girlfriend was out of town and he was horny and he saw a VHS with the title Top Brass. So did he finish? did he find? He's like, well, I'm here. Might as well get this done. Work with what I got. But I remember I bought a slew of Blu-rays. I remember I bought all 3 X-Men movies because I really did like the first 2 X-Men movies, the Bryan Singer ones. I still think they're, especially X-Men 2. I still love that movie. I think it's fantastic. And I remember being so blown away. I think that was my first thing. I think it's the first thing I watched. Like,
yeah,
and I was just blown away by the deep blacks at the time. Right? I didn't even have like a plasma screen or anything like that. But at the time, making the jump from standard def, it was a flat, but it was a CRT, right?
Yeah,
it was a late model CRT that was nice and flat screen and pretty nice TV built like a brick. I kind of wish I had the space to have it set up for like old consoles.
No, you don't.
Oh, it was cool. It was a cool TV, but yeah, maybe I don't. But anyway, I was blown away. I was blown away watching those deep blacks. And House of a Thousand Corpses was one of the first ones I bought.
Yeah,
and that looked fantastic too, right? Movie aside, I looked, the vibrant colors. I'm tapping into some House of a Thousand Corpses in my room right now with the reds and the blues and the contrasting brights. I loved it, man. Yes, Batman Dark Knight jizz, exactly. But yeah, and then I lived with Blu-ray for a while. I don't think I really. When did I adopt 4K? When 4K came out, yeah, it looked better, and I love 4K. But as these mediums come out and upgrade, you kind of have to upgrade everything else to get the max potential out of everything.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, 4K comes out, you got to have the best 4K player money can buy, and you have to have the best 4K cables, HDMI cables, and you got to have the best TV money can buy. So it's like, if you really want the best out of it, man, you're 10 grand in the hole. I feel like,
yeah, it's expensive, man.
And who can do that? And then like, it's just diminished returns like the second you walk out of that, because tech just gets outdated so fast. But even with like my average setup and my average TVs by comparison, yeah, it's better. But now we're in the territory where I keep telling Todd, he just watched the Alien 4K for the first time, which does look fantastic. But to my eyes, I had the Alien Quadrilogy VHS box set, which I loved.
Yeah,
and I had the same movies, the box set. Well, I had the VHS as standard, I think, regular vibes on VHS, and I grew up with those. When I got the Quadrilogy DVD box set, I was like, "Whoa, this is great!" And then they came out with the Blu-ray set, fucking knocked my socks off. Like,
yeah,
Alien 1 and Aliens, Cameron's Aliens, especially, look so damn good, especially Cameron's Aliens. And then so when I saw the 4K, I'm like, yeah, this looks amazing, but I was so blown away already with the Blu-ray transfer. It's still fantastic that I just didn't feel like the jump wasn't the same from DVD to Blu-ray by a long shot. Maybe I'd have to do like the Pepsi challenge and watch them side by side, but because Blu-ray was like the Wild West where you could literally, it was a crapshoot. You could literally have really shit transfers, like the first couple of releases of the Terminator, where it's like, what am I watching here? It looks like dog shit. Or like the first run of Total Recall, which looked like shit. And
then they had to redo it. Like,
yeah,
they got so many complaints.
So there would be tons of those kind of releases where you really weren't getting that look like DVDs. I mean, like this looks like a fucking DVD. But then you had things like that Alien set, which is old. That Alien set came out so long ago, pretty early in Blu-ray. Like I think it's an early Blu-ray release, and they put their money and their resources into it, and it looks amazing. It all like I said, I'd have to go back and do the Pepsi challenge, but the way my mind remembers it, it probably can go toe to toe with some of the worst looking 4Ks out there. I'm just saying, it looks fantastic. So, Batman Dark Knight, there's only 4 questions of value in life. Aaron, what is sacred and what is the spirit made? What is it? Okay, yeah. I don't even know which movie that's from anymore. But yeah, I don't know. And then, with 4K, I love it. I kind of hope it's the last format because I'm tired of like looking at a collection that just takes up space, and you put dollars with everything. Like, oh man, this is worth nothing now, but if only I could have all the money I spent on all these pieces. Let's say I just put this in an account. All right, I bought a bond. Like, this is how much I would have today. Here's how much interest it would be. I mean, you can't live life like that, but I'm like, gosh, it'd be so much money.
So yeah, we're hoping that the 4K is the last format. So then our stuff's not going to deteriorate in value.
But and I think Goat makes a pretty good point. For him, he says Blu-ray is his favorite format of all time.
Oh, really?
And I could see that. Maybe because there's so many of them. Like there's a ton of them, a lot of titles, and to me, the Blu-ray was still at the height of obviously late DVDs and Blu-ray special features. Mm-hmm. I feel like those have really gotten the shaft in 4K.
Oh God, yeah.
It's just it's a shame. So maybe he's just talking about and for some reason he loves 3D Blu-ray. He loves it. He still has a 3D TV, and he pays premium. He'll buy stuff imported to get 3D Blu-rays of stuff today.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. See, I never got that, but I still like Blu-rays a lot. I still buy them. So.
I think they're totally sufficient. I don't feel like there's a need to. I mean, I've got a ton of Blu-rays just taking up shelf space in closets that aren't on display. I mean, these are all Blu-rays back here. This is like the Arrow stuff and the Shout stuff and horror stuff, but I got all like the very basic stuff in these closets everywhere. And I mean, I'm not gonna miss them if they were gone. I like a lot of these movies, but I would love to just replace them. But if the house burned down, I can watch anything in these closets probably on digital pretty easy, and I would get over it. But this is the stuff that I really like. And then in the other room, I have all my 4K. It's just because.
Well, in the 4K format, I mean, I like it, but it's not. I mean, it's hit or miss. Like, you have titles that look, drop dead gorgeous, and then you have other titles where who cares? It's pretty inconsistent like too, just like Blu-ray. Yeah.
So, but if you had a primo setup, an awesome TV, you had top of the line 4K player, which will play Blu-rays. I mean, your Blu-rays are going to look pretty. I mean, your Blu-rays are going to look pretty good, though, right? I mean,
yeah, they'll still look great.
Because don't they upscale and up-res and they clean them up?
Yeah. For certain titles, though, I still hold out and pick them up on 4K.
And at the same time, to really, really notice the difference, you have to have a really big ass screen, right? It's like with 8K. The only place you're going to see an 8K monitor, I think, is like the Apple store. And the reason why it's like 8K is because it takes up a whole fucking wall. It's like their monitor with all their crazy shit, so you need that. So who knows if our eyes are really even getting the benefit of all this stuff. They probably just see us coming. But anyway, so hopefully that'll be it. And now we're in the era of, we went from going to theaters, which used to be a huge thing. When I was a very young kid, we never got to do it. It was, I could think of a few occasions I got to go to the movies when I was a little kid. But getting older, going to the movies more, high school, young adult, would go to the movies all the time. Like when I was a young adult. Now we're just in this streaming generation where it's like, I remember when Netflix was just, they were the first kids in the block, and they were doing the DVD subservice, right? They'd send you DVDs in the mail, which was great. There's nothing wrong with that. And then Red Boxes came out. Movies were still alive. Then the streaming came out. And I remember when I got my PS3, that's also when I first got into the streamers, right? Because I was able to download Netflix.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was pretty basic. I just had Netflix, and I might have gotten Hulu at some point, but I just watched the shit out of Netflix. That was a game changer too. Having a stream.
Well,
go ahead.
Netflix had everything at that point, though. It was pretty much, they had thousands really great titles. Like, everything was great, it seemed like.
Well, it's because they had no competition. They weren't partitioned out with all the studios. You know, they were the only fish in town, so it's like they were able to lease everything. And you know, I just watched. I remember I had my PlayStation 3, and I just binge watched Frasier. I'm like, oh, this is awesome! I can watch every episode of Frasier on demand. This is amazing. So it was an exciting time. The Blu-ray PS3 era. You know, smart TVs were just coming out. It was an exciting time to kind of have all that stuff. And then at some point, it just kind of went a little too far, and now theaters are just totally different. And I don't even know if that's really tech's fault. It's a couple of things. I think it's corporate greed mixed with technology. So you have Disney mixed with the technology to put theaters out to pasture. So you have people like Disney that just want to release a couple different kinds of movies and hog up and buy up all the screen time. You know, and then so that sucks. I mean, movies are gone, but I don't know. I went the last. I don't remember what's the last movie I saw. Gosh, I can't remember. It was just a couple weeks ago.
Scream.
Yeah, Scream, man. Scream was fun, but I mean, like, I'm sitting next to a couple the whole time they're talking. They're talking like they're in the living room.
Yeah,
and it made me think. And they were younger. And it made me think, I'm like, is this how it is? Because younger people are so used to, this is how they consume movies. They're used to watching movies at home, and they don't go out to the theaters hardly ever. Or maybe they're like 10 years younger, 15 years younger than me. And this Netflix is their way. And going to a theater is really like this kind of like relic of a thing they don't really understand. Because they were legit, Scream was playing, they were having a conversation like they were home watching Netflix. Like, do you guys not know the etiquette of a theater? You're not even trying to whisper here. And it blew me away. I'm like, guy, what the fuck?
Did you say something?
No, I didn't say anything. But it just,
Should call the usher.
It was just observation, like how people are acting differently than they would have back in the day.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, it's definitely changed. That's why I hardly ever go to theaters anymore. It's because I'm very picky on what I want to see in the theaters, and I don't know. I've had so many bad experiences going to the theaters.
I don't know if it sounds bad to you guys. I think Todd's net is fucked up because now it's like, you remember you had that delay. Now you're like talking really fast. It's like your audio's catching up. So you're like, yeah, you're being fast forwarded like a VHS whenever you talk.
All right, hold on real quick.
Yeah, he might have to leave and come back in, but I think it'll be a good opportunity. We'll talk about. I mean, you'd think I'd want to talk about. Where is he back yet?
I'm back.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Hey, can you hear me?
You're delayed. I can hear you.
Test.
Your video's delayed. Todd's globally delayed. I already said that joke. Goat is deep into Blu-ray collecting. Yeah, man. But it's what makes him happy. I mean, if that's what people are into, like, I used to think there's two schools of thought. There's the people that want to just get rid of everything they have, right? The people that subscribe to that method of putting stuff into piles, right? 2 piles. And you asking yourself if that thing brings you joy or not or whatever. And if it doesn't, you get rid of it. You purge it, and you just have as little as possible. I understand that mindset, and I also understand someone like Goat too, where it's like, look, you can't take any of this shit with you when you die, but this is what makes you happy while you're living. You know, who cares if it makes you happy to collect your favorite movies and buy Blu-rays and build yourself a movie room in your basement, and that's cool too.
You could be doing a lot worse things,
Yeah, you could be collecting crack rocks. I'm just saying. So it's to each their own. Yeah. But anyway, so as far as this goes, I don't feel like we're going to be able to touch everything because we've already been going like an hour. So would you rather go into games or music next? Because I kind of want to. What do you vote? I feel like we're gonna.
Well, those will probably have to be separate.
You think so? We've only been going an hour. We could talk a little bit about one more.
I have I have some tech. I didn't know what we were talking about.
So what is your tech? What was it, movie related?
It's I thought we were talking about our first, we were talking earlier about our first we didn't go into CD players, we didn't go into televisions.
I mean, that's going to be so CD players we're going to put into music. I'm just going to talk about.
Okay, so I can show my first couple televisions.
Okay, let's see his TVs.
Okay.
I wish I knew my models still. I don't remember the stuff I bought. I used to have the consoles, man, the ones that look like furniture in our house.
No, these are just gonna be mine. So the rest are my parents. But let me.
Okay, so show us. Go ahead and present.
All right.
I don't know if it's going to be as simple to do it with this new layout. Yeah, you can just share screen. Okay. Yeah, we had the console TVs growing up, and those were great. We still had a console TV in our basement as late as, I think, 8th grade. And I loved it, dude, because I could kick my feet up on top of it and then put my drink on it, man. It was awesome. Greatest idea ever. So this was a TV you had in your room?
Yeah. So I got this probably, my mom got it mid 90s. Got it at a garage sale. So this is like a 1970s.
Yeah, it looks like a 70s.
Black and white television, and this was my go-to with the little antenna. I used to stay up late and watch MASH for an hour and then go to bed. So
I used to have at a long time ago, like in the early 90s. I had one of those like little TVs. It honestly probably had a screen that was like 4 inches, but it had a long body. It maybe was designed to be like a portable TV. I don't know. It had an antenna and it was black and white. And I used to just watch, whatever I could get on the old dialer there. Did you? I don't know about you, but I was one of those families, right? That Jeff Foxworthy probably talks about, where those knobs were always off those TVs, and we had the pliers, dude.
Yep.
You need to turn the channel with the pliers.
Or a nail file. I used to stick a nail clipper file in there and turn it. Like, because these things come off, or this came off, or even these. Yeah, you would have to get something to do that.
So you knew the model by heart to find this picture?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know the model, but I searched for it because I remember it was like in this white.
Looks like
white box.
Looks like porcelain or something.
Yeah, and they had the knobs, which I never really understood what these knobs.
What is those like mini channels?
Yeah,
because you have the channels down there below, the 1 through 12 and the U or whatever. But then, I never understood what those for. Do those do anything?
I think it's to hook it up to cable, like a cable box or something.
Like they were cable ready, like in the earliest infancy of cable.
Yeah, because they had some sort of adapter that it was separate from this TV you would buy, and then you would screw it in here and back here, and then you would hook the cable up to it. And I think I never had cable growing up. So,
but cable was not around in the 70s. So were they just future? I don't think cable really came out until the 80s, right? Or when did it? Because we didn't even before cable came out. Fox came out, which was a new network, right? Didn't you have Fox? And then the early 80s, you had like Fox coming out. Then you had like MTV. I don't know. When did cable come out? Anybody help me out here? But that would make sense.
Cable came out in the 80s.
So this is 70s. So like, why is it here? Like, we still don't know what it is. Like I said, maybe they're future proofing for more channels.
They could have.
Because sometimes tech does that. And I remember vividly, man, having to work an antenna, trying to get those, because we just had the basic channels, man. We had ABC.
And then you had to turn these knobs to get into focus.
The dials, the little dials that just twist and turn.
Yeah,
dude, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't even know what it would feel like to have to work one of these TVs. Part of me kind of misses it. Like, I kind of wish I had a little box like this on my work desk, and I could just kick up and watch it and hit it. Like when I start like losing, like, you piece of shit.
Because like in every movie you see.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, dude. Or like Damone.
Oh yeah.
Like, what happened? He was watching a show and he got the call. What happened? He missed it because he couldn't rewind. What happened?
Cereal or something.
Yeah, I love it, dude. And you know what? The thing about tech like this though is you could beat the shit out of it, man. This stuff could fall on the floor like a few feet and it'd probably be all right. I mean, eventually these TVs broke. I mean, because like eventually I'd mentioned console TVs. eventually those console TVs would break, and we'd have another TV on top of the console TV.
Oh yeah, everybody did. Or the stack of mail or TV. Yeah.
And I remember feeling personally attacked because I remember it was 1999, and I'm sitting in the basement, and in 1999 I was probably in 8th grade, I guess, and I was watching our console TV that we had that was in the basement we had from years prior. It eventually shit the bed, and so we had gotten another TV, and we just kept it on top of it, and it was great because, like I said, it just made it easier to watch. I'd use the console TV as a kickstand and keep my drinks on. And I remember watching Comedy Central, and you remember they'd have those inserts in the commercials, and they'd usually be like some kind of like promo cut from The Daily Show. And I remember it cut to like before it went back to your normal program, whatever show you were watching, it would have like this insert, and it showed Jeff Foxworthy, and I'm sitting there at this TV, and he goes, he's like, if you're currently watching this on TV that's sitting on top of another TV, you might be a redneck. You're watching Comedy Central. I was like, excuse
You're talking to me.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, it was a total fucking meta out of body experience. Like, whoa, like life didn't make sense anymore. I didn't know what I was doing. And then I went back to watch probably TRL or whatever, Limp Bizkit Nookie video, whatever the heck was going on. But I do. Part of me misses this kind of tech. And it kind of makes you sad when you walk into a Goodwill and you still see, like, maybe not TVs this old, but you see a lot of tech from the early 2000s and 90s.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, man, like, part of you wants to give some of that stuff a home, but like, yeah, no.
Let me show my other one too. My other piece of tech that I got when I was a kid.
Yeah, Mendoza. Yeah, you're right. Oh, MTV came out in 81. So Fox came out in the late 80s. I'm getting it backwards. So cable started in the late 80s, though. I don't think it was in the 70s, though. Okay, go ahead, Todd. Oh, no. Where'd he go? Why'd he leave me? I think he did that on accident. Yeah, there he is. Oh, where'd you go? Every time you do that, there you go.
Dude,
I got to put my screen back.
I was trying to...
Oh, you're trying to yeah, Todd's a fucking boomer. He broke it trying to share his screen.
Sorry. I broke the stream.
You broke the screen. Like, I don't know, you just broke it when I don't understand. All you have to you were already sharing your screen, man. I don't get it. Like, just
all right.
Your next picture.
Okay. I was trying to be presentable, but
yeah. Have you had that Tenebrae shirt? Have you had that Tenebrae shirt a long time?
No, I got this a few weeks ago. It was on sale. So.
Oh, where'd you get it?
This company I got, one of those T-shirt companies.
Which one?
I don't know. It's called like Atomic something. They had like a 40% sale or something. I guess.
Oh, how much did you pay for that?
40% sale. I think it was like $16.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool stuff, man. And I suppose it's not going on anymore.
I don't think so. No.
Well, thanks for telling all your listeners. That'd have been very cool.
Well, I got to tell you everything I do.
The listeners, absolutely. Okay. Maybe they would have liked it. Maybe Mendoza would have liked himself a Tenebrae T-shirt. Ain't that right? Okay, sorry. We're gonna add this now. Oh yeah. I mean,
so this mega, like Watchmen. This I got this. I don't know. I got it for a gift from something. And this has like a cassette player up top here. And then of course you have your TV here, and then you have a little dial that changes.
So you had this?
Yes.
This is very cool. I actually never heard of this. This is a Sony Watchman. I've heard of the Walkman. I've heard of the Discman. This is the Watchman.
This is very the Watchman. Cool. Yep. And then it had the little antenna up top here. So we used to take this with us wherever we went. And this thing's kind of big, dude. And it's kind of heavy too. So it's funny. Like if my mom went to the gym to work out, like I bring this in there and hold it while I'm watching something on TV.
Wait, like took you to a physical commercial gym?
Yeah, yeah.
And she make you play like music for her, like hold it up like John Cusack?
No. She would go work out, and I would sit in the chair for 2 hours or
like in the lobby area.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I used to have this big Watchman. I'm just like sitting there watching it.
So it's black and white, right? Or is it color?
It was black and white.
Damn.
Yeah.
Did you ever? We used to had. I had a little pocket TV. You remember those little pocket TVs?
Yeah.
Like they have on Rain Man that he gets Raymond so he can watch fucking, what is it? Not Jeopardy, but People's Court or whatever it is. It looks like a walkie-talkie, and it's got an antenna, and it's got a little like 2-inch screen on it. I had one of those in the '90s. It was old tech at the time. I had acquired it from somewhere, and I would lay in bed and watch it. That thing sucked batteries like the Dickens, but it was great though, man.
Yeah, before everything went digital.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I don't really remember. I couldn't tell you the models of TVs that I had. I remember the last CRT I had that I bought was okay. So like every time we do that, we got to click that again. So that new icon. But I had a Philips, and it was a great TV. And then I remember right before I moved to Arizona, I bought, probably for nothing, but I bought a TV that belonged to my uncle. And this TV back in the day was the King Supreme. I remember in the '90s, my uncle, who was a teenager, he worked at Valentino's, or he worked at Valentino, his
Pizza
first
shop.
job. Yeah, his first job, and living with my grandparents. He was like a teenager, probably 16 or something. He bought himself an old beat up rust bucket Honda Accord or something, and he saved up his money and bought this TV. And gosh, I don't know how big it was. When I was a little kid, I could have swore that thing was 50 inches. It probably wasn't.
Yeah.
But dude, it was so sweet. It was the nicest TV I'd ever seen up until that point. And I used to go up into his bedroom every now and again, like when he wasn't around or at work, and I'd watch his TV, and it'd be like taboo, like, oh, this is so fucking cool. And it had picture in picture.
Oh, you utilize that?
Oh no, but it was cool. Remember, like,
Yeah,
that was new tech at the time. Picture in
Yeah.
picture, have a little picture of another channel up there. That's obviously for people that like wanted to watch a ball game they didn't care too much about, but they want to keep tabs. And then it had all these different features that blew me away at the time. And he paid an arm and a leg for that damn thing. It was top of the line. Fast forward, it only took 20 years, but I bought it for probably $10. And I love, dude, it's the heaviest fucking TV ever. I lugged it up 3 floors into my apartment. Like this is in 2014. 2014. I had it in the last year I had in Arizona in that apartment you and Heather visited at, right? You played the silly string and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it in my bedroom, and I hooked my N64 because this was like peak me going to flea markets all the time and buying the retro games. And dude, there was nothing, because it was like a rounded bulb screen. It was also, there was nothing like plugging in a Nintendo 64 in 2014 and playing Mario 64 and watching it pop up on that ding, because that's exactly what it was like when I was a kid. And it was the world's greatest TV for those games. So that's the only thing that makes me kind of like, maybe it's just like member berries and like being nostalgic. But dude, for that 8 months I had that, I did not go in my living room anymore. I would go into my bedroom, and I'd pull up a chair, and I'd put a little cooler next to me, and I would just play on this fucking like 38-inch fucking TV or whatever it was, and play N64. And I'm like, dude, it was just taking me back. It was so cool. But
no, that's awesome.
And then like I said, I had to move 6 months later, 7 months later, and then I couldn't. The thing was so damn heavy. I had to get a friend who was bigger than me to help me lift it and get it out of there and carry it down 3 flights of stairs. And it was just, dude, I was regret. I was considering just leaving it there and just paying whatever fine they charged me to lug it out.
So do you have to take it to a dumpster, or do you take it with you?
No, well no, I didn't take it with me. I moved to Arizona. I didn't take I shipped some boxes, and that was it. I wasn't gonna send this like 3,000-pound TV. But I tell you what though, if I could have it, I would find somewhere to put that fucking thing. I don't know if I'd have the heart to get rid of it. I'd probably have it in a closet or something. But no, in this apartment complex, we had dumpsters on site all over the place. So I just went to buy a dumpster. It wasn't a big deal. Really, really too bad. But that's about all I can say for TVs and stuff like that. Same thing with I don't know. We had a million VHS players growing up. You know what was a big revolution at the time? Do you guys remember TVs with VCRs in them?
Yeah. We had one of those.
Yeah, and I remember when those came out, and eventually it became a thing of like you learn, hey, if it's got more than one function, it's not really focusing on any one of those functions individually, and it's going to be shit.
Eats your tape all the time.
Yeah, it's like it's not going to be a fantastic TV. It's not going to be a fantastic VCR. You're better off getting one of each. The TV usually worked, but the VCRs always went bust.
Yeah,
and then it was just like, yeah. So that was a huge thing. And then I also remember, didn't they have VHS DVD players for a while? Did they have VHS combo TV? I could have swore they had VHS.
I don't remember having one of those. I'm sure they did.
Yeah. Anyway, the VHS TV thing was the big game changer. But no. Anyway, so is there anywhere do you want to stay on TV, or I mean, because yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe we don't have all the time in the world to really hit another topic. So maybe we should kind of like hang out in this area for a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that so we can prep for the other one.
So what are we missing? So let's talk about TV then. Actual TV, right? So cable, for as long as I can remember, cable was the thing. I mean, like I said, like Mendoza said, cable was around. MTV came out in 1981, so it's like cable was around before I was born. But it just depends. If we were on our own, we didn't really even have cable. We never had cable. I was like I said, with the pliers and everything else, just trying to get network TV to watch Saturday morning cartoons. But if we were staying or living with like my dad's mom, they had inherited some money. They always had an in-ground swimming pool and all kinds of stuff because like I think my grandpa's mom died and he inherited like a whole bunch of money, and then his wife squandered it into a bunch of bullshit. But anyway, they always had cable, and they had HBO. They had movie channels. So that was like whenever I was at their place, it was insane. I was watching Tales from the Crypt.
Mm-hmm.
And that was few and far between because I didn't live with them. I mostly lived with my mom's parents, and then they had cable as well, but they never paid for movie channels. I mean, they wouldn't have anyway because they show the naughty stuff. They're God-fearing people and stuff like that. They didn't want Cinemax. They only watch R-rated movies, for crying out loud. So it's like, why do they need movie channels? But they did have basic cable, so I would watch MTV and all that stuff and Snick. So that was great. I don't know at what point things just got bigger, right? Because cable packages were relatively small back in the day. When I was a kid, like I remember when Disney Channel, I feel like was a new thing.
Yeah, Disney Channel.
Disney Channel was like new-ish. It was a big thing. Like it was the whole marketing. Call your cable provider and ask about getting the Disney. Like the Disney Channel, it wasn't even part of a package. You had to get that a la carte and pay for it, right? Yeah. It was a big deal. And so, like when I was a kid, I pretty much just remember cable being, obviously we had the basic channels, and then we had Nickelodeon, MTV, VH1,
Comedy Central.
Comedy Central came a little later, right? Like Comedy Central,
FX.
FX came later. I remember when FX was brand new. FX came out in the 90s, but it wasn't around. I remember it was brand new in the 90s, and they kicked FX off with a MASH marathon.
Oh, okay.
Because they had MASH.
Mm-hmm.
And but I remember when FX was brand new in the mid 90s at some point. But anyway, at a point it grew and grew. We're not even talking about satellite. It's like, I know satellite was a thing, and then you had all these crazy obscure but after a while it feels like all those obscure channels just kind of became part of basic cable, right? Yeah. You had MTV, you had MTV2, you had CNN, CNN2, CNN3, ESPN, ESPN 2, 3, 4. It got really, really insane, and eventually it just got to a point where it's like you're just watching the same 5 channels anyway.
Yeah, do you ever go to a hotel now and like they have cable and you're like surfing through the channels? You're like,
oh, I hate it.
I don't miss this at all.
No, yeah. It's like living in the Stone Age.
Yeah,
and I used to love going to hotels as a kid, and they'd have the movie channels.
Yeah.
Oh, even if it was just like HBO or Cinemax, because they would tout that like, oh, free HBO or free Cinemax. Yeah. Sometimes they'd have both. I had good memories of watching movies I otherwise would have never been able to see because they were new on HBO that month or whatever, like Spawn or some fucking movies where they'd just
Scream.
Play.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but there's like some motels that are just living in the past. And, I've go to some bigger cities. Dude, when I went to when I was trying to cheap out in like New York City and not pay a shit ton of money for, I'd be staying in a hotel that was in a good part of town. Like I'd be in Manhattan or whatever off, off Broadway or whatever. It's a great location to be as far as walking and whatever. But the hotel I had to get, dude, it felt like it looked okay from the outside, but I was in a dungeon and they had a straight up CRT TV on the wall, like a hospital.
Wow.
Dude, fucking old school. And first of all, you're laying in bed and your bed is in the center of the room like it normally would be, but your TV's in the fucking corner of the wall. It's like a fucking 18-inch like box and you have to like watch TV like this.
Oh, that's so fun.
And they have like the most basic of basic cable. And I'm like, dude, I'm watching like MTV Teen Mom. And I'm like, what is this?
Sit there and watch all the commercials. Yeah.
It's shit, dude. I'm watching like standard def cable in the year 2016. It's crazy. And then also, even if they're kind of up to speed, dude, it's just, I used to like going to hotels because they used to have stuff that was better than what I had. But now it's like you go to even like a nice place, pretty nice. Like even we went to Disney World and we had a resort and it was a nice room, but the TV in this big nice room is smaller and shittier than the TVs I have in my house. Yeah, they're flat screens.
Yeah.
But they're 1080p, bulky flat screens. They haven't been updated in probably fucking 10 years. And they're just, and they've got cable. And another thing too, you know what I think should be the standard? Every hotel should have at least, I'm not saying it has to be of the utmost quality, at least a smart TV with the apps installed. And you should be able to log into your Netflix or wherever, Hulu, whatever it is when you're on vacation. That should be the standard.
It should be. Yeah.
And it's not. I stayed at a hotel one time in downtown Phoenix and it was pretty nice. It was nice. And it was like the only hotel I've ever seen in my life where I feel like they had a 70-inch screen. It was awesome. And they had all the streamers. Like, this is the way it's done. It was just a staycation because I have a friend that is a stewardess and she was fucking one of the other stewardess. So like whenever they fly into town on the routes, everybody on the flight would get their own hotel. But since they were boning, they only used one of them. So she'd be like, "Hey, do you want this other hotel?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" But it was so nice. But I've never seen it again.
You ditch these kids for a weekend fling? You sound like Rod Belding, man.
Absolutely. We got the better building. Anyway, yeah, if you ever want to like take a blast from the past, just go to a Red Roof Inn or something like that. Oh, I shudder to think what a Motel 6 would look like. I haven't been in a Motel 6 in years.
Yeah.
When's the last time you've been to like a motel, stayed in a motel?
Usually when I go hunting, or fishing, like on a fishing trip or hunting trip, we stay in the shit hotels.
Yeah.
A couple of years, maybe.
Yeah. I had a good, but yeah, just aside from like the old tech, which is a no fucking go, I could deal with cable. But like I said, I experienced in 2016, I think it was, the New York, and I'm like, I can't fucking do this. It was miserable, dude. Like it was terrible. The next year when I was in London, I got a hotel in London, and the hotel was really nice, and they at least had an awesome TV, a great, totally serviceable TV, but I had to watch cable. But that was okay because I was watching British cable, and British cable is uncensored. All TV is uncensored, even network TV. They don't censor TV there. So when I watched the Leaving Neverland documentary in England, I got to hear him talking about opening up the booty holes and nothing was censored. It was great. Michael liked to jack.
Doesn't sound great to me.
Michael made me open up my booty hole and he would jack off. He would jacko. But but they have an all horror channel like on their basic cable.
Oh, nice.
And it's there's commercials, but it's unedited, man. It's freaking awesome. But yeah, it's just weird. We're spoiled, man. I that's one thing I don't want to go back to. I like on demand. I know they had TiVo and all that stuff along the way that kind of came out, and I kind of passed all that stuff. My mom and dad had a little bit of that going on some years ago, But
But no, that's a DVR. Is that what TiVo is?
Oh, TiVo was it was like DVR. TiVo was like the first thing that came out. But yeah, DVR. But I just can't live without that now. I can't live without being able to watch everything on demand, digitally on a streamer. And another thing, Netflix has ruined me, right? Because Netflix came out and they changed the game as far as like watching series, TV with the binging. And now you have all the companies partitioning out and coming out with all their own streamers, Peacock, Paramount, what have you. And they're moving all their series and stuff as original series for these streamers, and they've implemented commercials. And so they're desperately trying to keep cable a thing where you have to watch commercials, and they're giving you new episodes of series once every week at a certain time. And I can't. I the fact that everybody is holding on to this dinosaur because they want to make maximum profit. Everybody's been used to Netflix and the standard they set for years before this happened. And as much as I don't like Netflix as a whole because their quality has gone to shit, if there is a series on Netflix I do want to watch, it's like a breath of fresh air that I get to fucking just binge it and just watch it as much as I want. Because as much as I like a lot of these series and stuff that's on Paramount and stuff like that, I watched the Tulsa King, which I did. I love Stallone, but it was hard waiting once a week to get a 30-minute episode.
Yeah,
I'm like, I am so fucking over this. And that right now we discovered the show Bosch, right? Which is we have the whole series to binge on Prime.
Show.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. And you know what? I don't know if you were to ask me what I like better, a show like Tulsa King or Bosch. It's not even going to be fair. I'm going to say Bosch, but it's just because I get to watch Bosch as little or as much as I want, and I have this whole series in front of me, 7 seasons, whereas like Tulsa King or whatever you're watching, the experience just isn't as good. It might be a different story if I had the whole show right in front of me. And I got to enjoy it, but
no, anyway. I hear you. I don't have the time to watch shows. The only shows we watch is like crime documentaries and stuff like that. But
yeah, those are fun, but I get so played out on that shit because that's just Netflix's bread and butter. Crime docs. I mean, they're just kind of running the gamut on everything. Like, who have they not done? They're going to do it next, right? Gacy. Probably Gacy.
We're watching Waco right now. I think we have 1 episode left.
Oh, okay. Good. Yeah, I saw that was streaming too. But yeah, so anyway, maybe that's best. So we're going to have to split and partition this out. So we're going to put a fork in this and call this looking back on tech evolved in the world of movies, film, and TV. And then next time we'll do we got to do music, we got to do games. Yeah. There's so much we have to do. But I want to thank everybody for joining us. And like I said, I want to remind everybody as well that every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central, you can join us live. Otherwise, the videos are taken down immediately and they get edited into an abridged version that go up on YouTube the following Tuesday. But if this is your first time on the channel, please take a moment. Please interact with the video, like it, leave a comment. If you dig it, please subscribe. And, we've been around for years and years and years. There's a plethora of content between Mac and Zach's Came Gang podcast, between our film commentaries, Cinema Enema, that's Zach and myself, our show where we talk about a specific title and review it, and anything and everything. And of course, we usually stream on the weekends, usually every Friday. We kind of all get together. So there's a lot of stuff. And follow us on twitch.tv/Revival House. If you want to support us in any other additional way, we have a Patreon. Everything's going to be linked below. We have a Teespring. And yeah, I'm going to run the VHS Positive shirt idea by Zach, because I think we got to do that. But is there anything else you want to say? Oh, I see Todd created an Instagram for Video Rot.
Yeah, so I just threw that up there because I wanted our name to be there too. So
well, I see the stuff you created, a second Instagram channel, which is you showing off collect, and I'm thinking this is the kind of stuff I think should be on Video Rot, but I think it's just like the title, like we'll probably just post shit like that. Feel free to post like cool stuff on that because you're the one with the access to that. Just whatever you want. All right, guys, we'll catch you later. Thank you. Bye.